Hi guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Emily and today's video is obviously a book haul. I'll be honest, I'm no avid reader. Well, I am for like a month, and then after a month I don't read for 2 years. I'm not like other girls. I have one brain cell, and this one brain cell rubs against my other half a brain cell, and when they rub together at just the right frequency, I have thoughts. And then these thoughts lead to me wanting to read other people's thoughts. Hence, when I finally read books. The books that I read vary in lengths, in styles, in writers, in topics, but the things that I always seem to be drawn back to are topics on mental health and sexuality, whether that be focusing on relationships or the complexity of relationships or figuring out your sexuality. I particularly like reading around lesbian relationships because I feel like that is kind of a demographic that is not spoken of. So they're the type of books that I'm going to be talking about today, are topics on mental health and sexuality. The first book that I would like to rant and rave about, because my god, it is stunning, is Matt-Haig's new book, The Midnight Library. This book changed my life. I read it within 2 days, which for someone with a tiny pea brain is quite quick. I found it really easy to read. It was written so well, and it is about a midnight library. It's around the topic of life and death and the in-between stage. So the main story follows a girl called Nora, and Nora has suicidal thoughts and attempts to complete suicide, and Nora finds herself in the stages between life and death, and the stage that she finds herself in is within the Midnight Library, and the Midnight Library has an infinite amount of possible lives in the form of books. And when Nora reads the first page of a book, she travels to a different world, and it kind of explores the idea of parallel universes, infinite realities, to which extent we choose our lives, and it is very wholesome, very beautiful, and it came at a stage in my life when I really needed it. So if you're struggling to figure out the path that you want to take in life, where you want to go, or you feel like you haven't kind of got to where you want to be yet, this book is just amazing. So please read it because you will not regret it. It looks like a pretty hefty book, but it's not. It flies by. And if you buy it from Waterstones, you get a bonus chapter, so definitely read it. And I would advise buying it from Waterstones, which will be linked below. I'm not affiliated to them, just stand them, love you Waterstones. And also, if you like the topics on mental health and you find that you really want to read some of Matt-Haig's other work, but you don't want to read a heavy book, I would definitely recommend Reasons to Stay Alive. It is stunning, it is beautiful, the way it's written is so concise and so easy to read, and it really helped me when I was going through some rough times. So recommend Reasons to Stay Alive by Matt-Haig. And if you are also still in the mood for some mental health, you know, some realness, then this is my favourite book of all time, by the way. I read this book when I was like 14. I was really struggling with my mental health, my sexuality, trying to figure out who I was, and just a general mess. And then I found this book. It's called It's Kind of a Funny Story, and it is by Ned Vicini, and it actually got adapted into a film. So, but I didn't like the film. There, I said it. but not in like the pretentious sense of like the book's better, but girly pops, the book is better than the film, let it be known. So if you've watched the film and you didn't like it, please don't judge it by that. But this book is stunning. It follows the character Craig, and Craig is really struggling with his mental health. He has suicidal ideation, he really doesn't know what to do, and he feels very, very lost. He's very academic, very smart, kind of the type of person you'd imagine to just kind of, you know, ride through life and have a great time, and they're often the people that we need to look out for a little bit more, the silent sufferers. So the idea of the cover is that it's a map, and Craig finds it comforting to draw maps and to map out streets, to map out routes, and it's kind of, you can't map out your own life, and it is just gorgeous. And Craig ends up in a mental health institution, and he meets a lot of different characters there. There's a transgender character, there's a girl who suffers with self-harm, a lot of people with different levels of psychosis. So I would definitely be aware of triggers before you read this. There are mentions of methods within suicide and methods of self-harm, but if those things are not hindrances to your reading and your experiences of this book, then definitely please read it, because it is just amazing. And maybe I see it through rose-tinted glasses because I do have a nostalgic feel towards this book, but I would 100% recommend reading this. And if you don't want to buy it, I will lend you my copy, because I just think it's just worthwhile of the read. Moving slightly away from the topics of mental health, although it's me, so of course the book still touches on topics of it. This book is called Conversations with Friends, and it is by Sally Rooney. Sally Rooney wrote the book Normal People, which got adapted into like the hit series on Netflix that everyone was obsessed with. And there's a reason that people are obsessed with that series, and it's because the writing is just amazing. So this book, Conversations with Friends, follows the story of 4 characters, and Frances and Bobby actually used to be girlfriends and now the best friends, which, gay culture. And they meet these 2 people and they hit it off, and then Frances kind of sparks a relationship with a man called Nick, and it follows the journey of conversations. It follows the journey of the complexity within relationships, the complexity of knowing yourself, the complexity of vulnerability. It just shows how confusing life can be no matter what stage you're at, but it really shows how beautiful that is, how beautiful that connection can be with other people. And it's just 100% worth the read. It's written so well, so engaging, and I would just really recommend this book. While this book talks about the mentioning of a lesbian relationship and a woman-woman relationship, it is not made the main topic of the book, which I think a lot of the time is really good to do that, because me as a lesbian, I don't solely identify as that. I don't feel that I walk around every day feeling only that. And while it is really good to have major representation of queer relationships, it is still also important to separate ourselves from those relationships and know, like, I am a lesbian, but I am also an idiot, you know? So that book vaguely touches on it. But this next book, wow, it's just amazing. So this book is called Now You See Me, and it is edited by Jane, can't pronounce the second name, Trees, I think. And it is a collection of interviews with older lesbians, and these older lesbians could have been born as early as the 1930s, and through this gorgeous way of questioning, these women finally find a safe space to talk about their relationships they had with women or still have with women, and it is broken into different chapters of the main topics that shone throughout the interviews. So some of the chapters are Nobody Saw Us, Innocence and Ignorance, Always Like That, Wives and Mothers, Wearing the Trousers, Identity and Politics, Not Her Next of Kin, and finally. And these are topics that, just from reading the chapter headings, a lot of people will know from the queer experience that these are still things that we experience day to day in our lives. And a lot of the time it focuses on the nuanced ways that women have been attacked or silenced throughout their lives, and how it was kind of the norm to be married, and then once that was no longer the norm for them in their particular lives, it was the legal battles of, well, I want to be my partner's next of kin, but they couldn't be because it wasn't a legally recognised relationship. They may as well have just been best friends. So I would 100% recommend this book if you're wanting some queer representation, some women representation, and it also very delicately touches upon the ideas of gender within the book. A lot of the women now would have probably used the labels of non-binary or transgender if they were appropriate for them and if they were available at the time for them to call themselves that. And that's really interesting to acknowledge within the book, is that the limits to language limit the human experience of sexuality and gender. So if that's something that you think you would be interested in, definitely recommend this book. So all of the books that I've spoken about I will list down below and put links. More than likely it will be Waterstones, but I will also put different links for just price variations, because Waterstones can sometimes be a little pricey. But I really hope that you enjoyed me talking through these books with you guys, and please let me know if you read any of them, because I need people to speak to about these books. Just hit me up, I will reply between 3 to 5 business days because my brain is smooth. If you stuck around for this long, thank you for watching, and I really hope you enjoyed my book selection. And if you would like to see any more selections of books, maybe poetry books, maybe my recommended poetry books, then I would genuinely love to do that. I found it super therapeutic and really comforting to pick through my books and select my favourites for you guys today on the topics of mental health and sexuality. So thank you. See you next week. Maybe. Who knows? Bye.